Hey everybody, I wanted to do a quick video on the Amazon earnings call. It's been a huge week for Amazon. Jeff Bezos has just become the richest man in the world again. He's passed Bill Gates, and it was big. It was right after the Amazon earnings report that was on Thursday. The stock went up to $1,100. What I wanted to talk about is, from a seller's perspective, how important that call was. Are there clues in that earnings call, and how can you use that to get an edge as a seller? So if you haven't read the transcript or listened to the audio, I'm going to put the link in the video in the description down there, and I'd like you guys to listen to it. The real takeaways that I think that were interesting relate to Amazon advertising. In the call, they talked about the fact that Amazon advertising has now surpassed $1 billion in revenue in the last quarter. To compare that to Facebook, they're still a long way behind. It's Facebook in comparison is about $9 billion. But what's impressive is the growth. It was 58% increase, 58% growth year on year. And they also noted that Amazon's advertising is one of its most profitable new areas of business. So you put all those things together, and you see what's happening in the Amazon ecosystem, and you have to think that Amazon advertising is incredibly important to Amazon's future as a company and also to sellers. And this is where the earnings reports can be really, really valuable. Basically, if you don't know what an earnings report is, every public company has to give guidance, information to existing shareholders or potential shareholders on where the growth areas are. So one of the interesting lines that came out of the advertising discussion was the fact that the gentleman on the call was noting how important the fact that advertising is actually improving the selection to consumers. And I thought that was a very interesting statement. It felt to me quite one-sided. If you think about what they're saying there, they're talking about providing better information for the demand side being the consumers. And what I was thinking about when I was listening to that is, what about the sellers? What about you guys listening into this? And this is where I think the importance of looking ahead and seeing what advertising units are being used by Amazon, seeing what you're converting as a seller, and sort of predicting where this type of ecosystem is going to go. In another research report, I read that Amazon's sponsored products makes up 82% of all of Amazon's advertising. Of that 1 billion, sponsored products about 82%. Headline search is catching up, and so is display ads. But currently, sponsored products is looking like the Google AdWords type product for Amazon. And of course, Google AdWords is similar because it's Google's answer to monetizing the most powerful thing that they have, which is the search engine. So as a seller, what does this mean? I think it's extremely important to think about where you should be placing your money. Should you be using headline search ads? Should you be using sponsored products? Should you be doubling down on that? Should you be even testing the new display ads? And the research that we've done indicates that sponsored products is very, very aligned with the commentary that came back in that earnings report. As I said, it's about relevancy, it's about consumer choice, and that's always been at the center of Jeff Bezos' everything store. It's always been at the center of Amazon's ethos. So I think it's very, very important to think about that. On the other hand, I think back to Facebook. When Facebook started to run a lot of ads and they did their sponsor groups, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years after they started to get serious traction, they were actually finding it very, very hard to monetize. They knew they had the eyeballs, but they couldn't monetize them. There's actually a great book on this. It's called Chaos Monkeys. If you haven't read it, it's a really cool story about entrepreneurship. It's about a Y Combinator company that eventually gets sold to Facebook. And it talks about all of the perils of trying to monetize ads and the algorithms that go behind it. And when I was reading the book and when I'm thinking about what they said in the Amazon earnings report, I think all of this is really relevant. So I'm going to put a link to that book in there too. But I want you guys to think about how can you use the information that's been shared to optimize. So my takeaway on the Amazon earnings report is that advertising is a huge play for Amazon. It's very, very profitable. It means that we're going to see lots of changes in the Amazon ecosystem. It's also interesting to see as Amazon starts to increase the real number of eyeballs that it has from the Whole Foods acquisition, from the video stuff, the strength of Echo in the home. What are they going to do with all those people? They are going to monetize it through advertising, which is far more profitable than selling goods. And what that means for sellers is that you have to be on the right end of that. You have to know where the advertising money should go to reach the most number of customers. And it's really important to think about which ad units are testing well, which ad units are not performing well, and also predicting where things are going to go in the future. So if you haven't listened to the earnings report, I suggest you do. Check out the link below and think about that when you're running your next step for your Amazon strategy.